Hey everybody, my name is Philip Shepard and I'm a local real estate agent here in Northwest Arkansas. And today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of living here in Northwest Arkansas. So let's talk about that. So before we jump into the pros and cons of living here, I want to kind of tell you my backstory of how I made it to Northwest Arkansas. So in case if you're in a similar situation as me, you lived outside of Northwest Arkansas, you lived somewhere else in America, and you started looking around thinking, okay, there's got to be a better place to live in America. I moved here from Chicagoland area about a year and a half ago. So what happened was I was really tired of living in Chicagoland area. Land of high taxes, land of politicians, land of just literally the city is always in a deficit, like $1 billion deficit. And a lot of the outsiding cities of Illinois really just support Chicago. So anyone who lives downtown Chicago, which it's a gorgeous city, but if you don't live downtown Chicago, everyone just kind of gets taken advantage of for the city of Chicago. So I got tired of that. I was paying astronomical taxes, astronomical property taxes, and everything just kept going higher and higher and higher in price. And so at one point, you just got to pull the Band-Aid and say, okay, I'm done. And so I did that, and what I did was I opened up the map of the United States. Literally, this is how it happened, on Google Maps, of course. And I was looking for a couple different things. I was looking for mountains, 4 seasons, better housing, better taxes, and a kind of growing area. And also I threw in the mix warmer, obviously a warmer area. And honestly, at that point, it's like anywhere else but Chicagoland area, further south is going to be warmer. So it was going to be a thing, but it wasn't like the top tier thing because anything's warmer than Illinois. So my first thought was, Colorado. No, way too expensive and off the charts pricing, obviously. Then I thought Pacific Northwest, there's mountains out there. Nope, way too expensive. And then I thought California. No. And then I thought maybe Phoenix, Arizona. But the thing with Phoenix is that it's really expensive housing. And on top of that, it's god awful hot all the time. 115 degree temperatures in summertime. Basically you're trapped inside in Phoenix, Arizona for a good portion of the summer. I'm not about that life. And then I thought, well, maybe the Appalachian Mountains because, it's kind of a 4-season environment, better property taxes, better housing. And then I started looking around the area and it's really not growing per se. And so I was kind of I want to find a better area. I found the Ouachita Mountains and also the Ozark Mountains, which are near Bentonville. So I saw Bentonville. I was like, oh my God, who doesn't know Bentonville? HQ of Walmart, of course. And then I started researching all of 49 and all the different cities that are on 49, Interstate 49 around here. And I discovered Fayetteville, Springdale, Rogers, Bentonville, Farmington, Elkins, West Fork, Taneytown, and all these other cities that are attached in the NWA area. And then what I did, and this is the nerd in me, is I literally read all of Fayetteville's 2040 plan. So Fayetteville planned out the city all the way up until 2040. And so they focused heavily on, how to make sure they avoid city sprawl, how they make sure that everything is bikeable within the city. Because a lot of these areas around NWA are focused around biking and making sure that people can travel without necessarily the use of a car. And so it's really interesting that an area be so progressive and thoughtful about how to actually move around the space versus Chicagoland area or even places like Dallas or Austin or California that they're just just build it and then whatever happens, happens. That was the attitude in Chicagoland area, at least that I can say for. I want you to have that story in the back of your mind as I'm telling you the pros and cons of living in Northwest Arkansas. And this is important because you're probably coming from a very similar area to Chicagoland area. And so as I go through the pros and cons, just kind of keep this in mind in comparison to where you're coming from to what NWA has to offer. So the first and greatest thing about NWA, Northwest Arkansas, is the fact that NWA has an amazing school system. Now, if you're watching this video in the past, I have a video linked below about all the amazing school systems and schools down here in NWA. But a kind of a brief overview, what makes them so amazing is the fact that there's not only a great public school system with A+ ratings all across the board. There's an amazing charter school system, an amazing magnet school, and in my video I kind of explain the difference there. And then on top of that, there's a great private school system as well. Now, I won't go into details about every single school system here, but what I can tell you is that there's a couple reasons why the school system is just leaps and bounds ahead than a lot of other states in America. And the first one is that Arkansas passed a law requiring students to be able to have to take a science/coding class by the time they graduate. Now, that is just an amazing fact because there's only 4 states, including Arkansas, in America that require that technology class to be completed before they graduate. So you can already start seeing that Arkansas is really pushing ahead when it comes to education requirements in America. And another just amazing fact of why the school system is so great in Northwest Arkansas is the fact that you have school of choice here. And what I mean by that is the fact that, let's say, for instance, you bought a town in Rogers, say for instance, but you really love the school system in Fayetteville. What you can do is you can fill out a form and actually send your students, your kids, to Fayetteville High School instead of Rogers. And where I came from in Illinois, that was not heard of at all. So for instance, there were some school systems that would allow that, but you have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to get your students into that system. And so that would be a real problem because people have to pay their taxes. And on top of that, they'd have to pay more money to send them to a different school system. And just another amazing fact about the school system down here, why they're so great, is the fact that there's so much competition between the systems. And what I mean by that is that as a parent, you get to choose whether you want to send your student to a public school system, a magnet school, a charter school, or a private school. So all these systems, all these school systems are trying to be the most innovative, the most creative, the most thoughtful when it comes to all these different things. And so they have to compete against each other to kind of fighting for your attention, fighting for your students. And so whenever the systems fight, like school systems have to compete against each other, the end result is that the student and parent always wins, is because the fact that they're competing and they're just getting better and better and better and better. Also, that reminds me, I have a 3-day itinerary linked below. So if you're a foodie, if you're into culture, if you're into art, if you're into music, if you have kids, if you're into sports or adventure, there's a 3-day itinerary made for you. So one of the things that happened when I moved down here is that there's so much to do, and I was just overwhelmed because there's so much to do. And so what I did is I made a 3-day itinerary. So when you're coming down here, you can check out all the places, like the best places to check out when you're down here, so you can fit in like this perfect amount of things to do. Download the itinerary, go ahead and use it, pass it down to your friends, and then let me know when you're down here, and then we can check out some homes, check out some apartments, and then we can see how far your dollar can go in NWA compared to where you're coming from. So the second pro of Northwest Arkansas is the fact that we have 3 of the largest companies in the whole entire world located right here. So we have JB Hunt, we have Tyson, we also have Walmart. 3 of the biggest companies in the world are HQ'd right here in NWA. And so what that means is that not only does it provide an amazing amount of jobs and resources and everything for the community, but it brings so many mid-sized to other large companies into the area. So let's say, for instance, you don't want to work for Walmart, Tyson, or JB Hunt. There's so many other job opportunities that are here. Those 3 companies are magnetized, and it draws so many other companies here because they want to be near where these other companies are. And a great example of this is the new electronic vehicle manufacturer named Canoo. So Canoo will be a competitor against Lucid and also Tesla. And what Canoo decided was they said, okay, if we're going to, HQ somewhere, put our headquarters somewhere, we want to be where other large businesses are. We want to be near Walmart. We want to be near JB Hunt, which is a transportation hub. We want to be near Tyson, which also uses a lot of transportation. And so they're thinking, okay, where can we move to in America that has major companies, that is tax friendly, that is a tech startup, a very innovative, thoughtful area, and also makes a great place for our employees to live, work, and play. And they decided to bring their HQ right here in NWA. And so that's kind of an example of not only do we have the 3 major companies, but there's so many other mid-sized and large companies either here or moving here so their employees can come here and get ready and start enjoying the outdoors for the summertime and fall time and wintertime. So number 3 of the pros list is the fact that we have over 350 miles of trail systems right here in NWA, which is just an amazing fact because not many places in the world can actually say they have that many trail systems designed and made for people to use on a daily basis. And so there's no surprise that people call NWA the mountain biking capital of the world. The world is because NWA and Bentonville specifically is so intentional about making their outdoor play space usable by kids, adults, friends, family, colleges. Everyone can use the trail system around here, whether they're moving from city to city, like actually riding their bike from city to city, because there is a trail system that connects all the way from Fayetteville all the way up to Bella Vista. So you can ride your bike on one trail all the way up there. And there's so many other trail systems that connect to it, and you can go back and forth between the cities all day long. Not only is it just, trail systems between the cities, but there's so many other mountains and trail systems that have been created for NWA that are like around rivers and mountains and valleys. It's really amazing to see all the trail systems that have been developed over the course of the last 10 years. And let's talk another pro about NWA, and that's the fact that this is a very outdoorsy community. Between rivers, kayaks, mountains, pools, water, Beaver Lake, There's so many different things you can do outside that this is a very outdoors community. And so honestly, you're going to probably be in the best shape of your life because there's so much to do outside. And you can do outdoor stuff all year long. Comparison to other places in America, you're kind of trapped inside for a good, 4 months out of the year, 5 months out of the year. But in Northwest Arkansas, you're outdoors all the time. And so whether if you love gardening, if you love fishing, if you love kayaking, if you love boating, if you love anything of outdoors whatsoever, then NWA is the perfect place for you because really you're not stuck inside at any point. So let's jump into the next one. And that is the fact that there is so much art, culture, and music located in NWA. So on the art side, we have the Walton Art Center, which is where the symphony plays and all sorts of different theater groups go there. We have Theater Squared. Once again, a lot of music happens there. A lot of theater groups go there. Hamilton is coming down to Theater Squared to perform. It's going to be amazing. We have the Walmart Amphitheater where just like top tier, top level artists come down here and perform. And then we have the Momentary, which is a huge cultural arts center up in Bentonville, as well as the world-renowned Crystal Bridges right located in Bentonville as well. So if you're into arts and culture, NWA is spared no dollar when it comes to developing a fantastic arts and culture center right here located in Northwest Arkansas. And on top of those amazing things, we have murals, we have artists, we have world-renowned architects that live here and design here and do amazing buildings right here located in Northwest Arkansas. And the next one, which I absolutely love, is the fact that we have a major college located right here in NWA. Not only do we have a great community college, we have a college located over in Siloam Springs called John Brown University, and the most well-known one is the University of Arkansas. And so some of the interesting things when it comes to University of Arkansas is you can get a full law degree there. They have a full medical services degree there. Anything to do with animal science, sports, business, even blockchain technology has a full degree there. So there's endless degrees, endless education when it comes to NWA. And the fact is, not only do we have a great educational school system when it comes to, like all the way from K to high school, but we have an amazing college as well. So it makes sense why people, grow up here, go through the education system here, whether it's public, private, magnet, or charter schools, and eventually they just go right to the University of Arkansas because University of Arkansas is not only a great place to get a degree, but on top of that, it's super affordable as well. All right, and so beyond education, one of the most amazing things about NWA is the fact that we have a major airport located right here. So in case you want to travel to Chicago, LA, Dallas, anywhere in Florida, all the way up to East Coast, XNA, which is the major airport here, travels to those places nonstop. So there's nonstop flights all over America at a very affordable price. So in case you have family left in California that haven't escaped yet, and they want to, they're eventually going to try to get out here, you can definitely fly from XNA right to California nonstop for a great price. And so you won't ever feel like you're too far away from any of your family if they decide not to follow you to NWA. And also, the weather here is absolutely fantastic. Now, I will never stop raving about the fact that fall never ever stops here. We have fall from all the way from September all the way to December. Now, where I came from in Illinois was that fall was maybe a 2-week event. And then, either the snow came or a big storm came and then the leaves would get knocked down. It was terrible. But down here, fall lasts forever. Those perfect temperatures last forever. Windows open, great temperatures all night long. And then you see the trees outside. You're just driving around, enjoying the weather, windows down, and fall lasts forever. I absolutely love it. I came from a very cold environment, so I was just ecstatic to have warmer weather, more consistent warm weather. And my biggest thing that I was worried about is very mild winters. The winters in Illinois, dear God, I've experienced negative 60-degree weather, and I did that once, and at that point in my life, I was like, never again. And so that was the downward slope with Illinois, because not only was I paying high taxes, not only was I paying unaffordable housing, not only was I supporting the city of Chicago, I was getting walloped by the weather as well. So it was a lose, 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 lose. And this is the last pro before we jump into the cons. And there are so many more pros when it comes to NWA. These are the ones, to make this video just short and concise, I just wanted to hit the top big ones. There are so many more benefits to living to NWA than I can even list on here. But the last one that I want to talk about is just endless business opportunity. There's a lot of places in America that talk about being local. But NWA is really, really focused on local communities, local businesses, and everything here. And what I mean by that is that there's definitely a thing where if you have a local business, let's say you have a local restaurant, you have a local clothes shop, you have a local candle manufacturer, people will specifically go to your business over a chain restaurant because you are local. And I've been to a lot of places where other cities say that, and they kind of abide by that rule. But NWA is one of the first places that truly lives by that and dies by that rule, is the fact that you are a local business, we will support you hands down. That's why businesses thrive down here so well, is because once you enter the community, you're embraced with open arms. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, and people want to support you, what you're doing. They'll get behind you, you make a friend group, you have a support group, and they're going to make sure that you're successful in NWA wherever you are. And so this is one of the first times in my life that I've actually seen people rally around businesses to make sure that it's successful for whatever you're doing. All right, so let's talk about the con list of NWA. Now, the reason I do con with the bunny ears is the fact that a lot of these things are not really truly cons. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some things that I heard about before I moved down here, and I'm going to share my opinion of actually how true they are. And so the first thing that I heard about before I was moving down here, about some of the cons of living down here, was about snakes. Now, the thing with snakes is that I do a lot of long distance trail running, and I'm on the trails a lot. How often do I see snakes? Hardly ever. And so it's one of those things where if you see other videos that people talking about, snakes or other things out there, I'm sure they exist. The farther down you go south, the more things get interesting, to say the least. Arkansas, I've seen snakes. Are they to fall out of my gutters? By no chance. There's no chance. I never see snakes around here. If I was to go deep in the forest, maybe. If I go for a long run, there's a chance I may or may not see them. It's a real mixed bag, honestly. It's one of those things you have to know that they exist around here. But even in Illinois, I had to deal with those things all the time. Like, for instance, there are snakes in Illinois. It's not like I was running around Illinois without seeing snakes. So it's really never on my mind per se. If you're going to go into Colorado, if you're going to go into some of those really intense mountains, you really want to be prepared for bears, mountain lions, cougars, and those intense animals out there. But when you're in Arkansas, you're completely fine. I don't have to worry about taking bear spray out when I go for a trail run around NWA at all, because it's not a thing. Same thing with snakes. It's not like I'm having anything with snakes around my ankles. And the other sort of con that happened that I heard about was the taxes down here. Now, one thing that I found fascinating about Arkansas, and then this is just relatively to 2022, was the fact that Arkansas, every state got COVID money from the government. And so what Arkansas did was they took that COVID money, that tax fund, and they actually put it towards the budget to actually reduce the state tax in general. Now, Arkansas has had a solid budget for a long time, but what they did was to even expedite lowering the taxes faster, the state tax. They took that budget and actually lowered the tax faster because they can. They want to get that tax lower as fast as they possibly can. And so there's going to be a link below, but they have it mapped out of what the taxes are going to be in to 2025, 2026. And so they're racing to get the taxes even lower than what they anticipated. Now, another thing about the taxes is the fact that I'm used to paying a very high tax in Chicagoland area. So moving down here to NWA, I'm still putting so much more money in my pocket. One thing to consider when I moved down here is I knew the taxes were a little bit higher than, let's say, Texas or Oklahoma or other places in the area. What was interesting is the fact that I didn't mind paying that because there's so many things going on here between the trail systems, between all the things the cities are doing to improve around the area, the infrastructure, the highways, the cities, the parks, the pools, the rivers, the actual environments that we can all use as a public thing. Because the thing with taxes, I don't mind paying taxes, but you want to see the benefit of where the money is going. And in Chicagoland area, oftentimes, and you might be experiencing this too, is that you're giving all this, tens of thousands of dollars to this entity, and then you're still paying tollways, you're still paying insane property taxes, you're paying all these things, and you're like, wait, what am I getting for all of this? But when you're around Northwest Arkansas, you can see the fact that they keep improving on all the things they have, like the school system just keep getting better and better and better and better. And so when you pay taxes like the state tax or the sales tax, you're like, oh, that makes sense because I get all these benefits. And then let's talk about one of the other cons, and that's the fact that people mention a lot of times about the humidity. Now, the thing about the humidity is that I actually believe that the humidity was more extreme in Illinois than actually down here in Arkansas. So in Illinois, you're surrounded by a lot of water, Lake Michigan, and a lot of corn country. And between those two factors, it is really, really humid in the summertime. We're talking 100% humidity all summer long. And even down here, you might get the humidity up to 85, 90%, which is, don't get me wrong, it's humid, but is nothing compared to Illinois and is nothing compared to Florida. Let me tell you that. So if you're coming from a dry climate like Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, it will be an adjustment period for you to get used to the humidity, but it's not crazy. Now, if you're moving to Florida or like Southern Louisiana or even like Houston, Texas, those are very, very humid places. Northwest Arkansas in comparison is not extremely humid. It gets hot. It gets around like 90 to 95 at the very, very highest when it comes to temperatures in the summertime. But those days are kind of far and few between. And usually we sit between like the 80 to like 87 area in the summertime. And I'm completely fine with that. And lastly, let's talk about the other con that people mention a lot, and that's the traffic. Now, I have seen traffic in my life, let me tell you. Living in Chicagoland area, there's traffic there to say the least. Now, I've done a full video about why the traffic system down here is so much better than Chicagoland area or other competing areas around the area. And the fact that they use like a 5th lane turning lane for left turning lanes, fantastic. This way, you don't have as many stoplights. You can cruise across town a lot faster. You can get up from Bentonville to Fayetteville a lot faster with the highway. I'm used to getting into traffic for about an hour and a half in Chicagoland area. So don't come at me about your traffic, because traffic down here does not exist. It's not a thing. When you compare it to Chicagoland area, LA, New York, Houston, Dallas, not a problem. So traffic down here is very good. They have a very smart system set up here because, like I mentioned before, they use this 5th lane turn lane and it cuts down on stoplights all across the board. Because what happened in Chicagoland area and also like California and New York is that they had to actually put stoplights everywhere. And as we know, more stoplights, the longer it takes, and what should have been a 5-minute commute takes out to be 45 minutes. So Arkansas is really intelligent, specifically NWA is very intelligent how they design their traffic patterns. And they're continually improving on all these patterns because they're always doing new work, adding new, roundabouts, trying new innovative things to make sure traffic moves along faster. So that's one thing you can always count on, is that NWA is always trying to be 5 to 10 steps ahead of the rest of the parts of the country, because they really do believe, and I agree with them, that this is the best place by far to live in America, hands down. Well, all right, guys, I really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching. Again, if you're coming down here and you're checking out NWA, Northwest Arkansas, definitely give me a call because we can check out some homes, look at some apartments, and then I can give you the $10 tour. And also, on top of that, let's talk about how far your dollar can go here compared to where you're coming from. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video.